What's going on, guys? This you got. It's funny. Keep it going. Keep it going. Keep it going. You guys are just missing out on some fun that we're having here. But anyway, you're tuned into another amazing episode of the Winning Play podcast. In between my guest that I have today and my boy behind the camera, I'm just laughing because they're hilarious. But anyway, I'm your host, Sean Gary, national youth speaker and author. And I am excited because today we have an amazing guest on the episode. And like I tell every guest before we get started, this is what we do. Before I even do an intro on you, a bio, this is the Winning Play podcast. So as we are in sports and we're running the plays, we're trying to get the victory, we're trying to win, and we all know we win, right? We want to make sure that as we are striving for that win, we try to get that ring. So the ring that we're trying to get today is a ring pop. So we eat a ring pop on every episode, unless it's a road episode where if I'm speaking at a school and I'm able to capture some episodes, some interviews while on the road, then we just raid the teacher's room, whoever's room we're in. And so that's fun too. And it's not necessarily the teacher who's on the show. So when they get back to class, it wasn't my idea, it was the principal's idea. And I was like, you get to get the blame. Okay, So here we go. You get to pick out one of these here, ring pops, and then I'm going to pick out one we'll eat together. Strawberry, that's a good one. Watermelon. I want to say I did watermelon last time. I'm going to do watermelon this time, though. Maybe I'll do strawberry next time. All right, so crack this baby open. Guys, if this is your first time watching, welcome to an amazing podcast. I hope you guys find some value here. And if it's not your first time, then I'm going to ask that you go ahead and like and subscribe right now while we're talking about it so you can have every episode coming right to you and you never have to worry about missing one that we release. As of right now, we release one every single week. So every Sunday, we release another episode, and this is providing content to principals, teachers, educators, any youth advocates, anyone who is working with young people, working with students, working with or if you're a parent, you have your own children, so it's for you as well. So this is the Win and Play where people can come on and share winning plays for others like themselves. So other principals, other teachers, other educators, coaches, and of course, parents as well. So with that being said, I want to introduce to you guys Bianca Scott, who is currently a kinder teacher, and she has been in education for 7 years, and she has literally done it all. So I'm sure we're going to hear about some of that done it all, and we're talking from subbing to office work. And she has even taught middle school. So I am excited to hear about that experience because I have my own thoughts about middle school and whatnot, but we'll get there. So thank you for being on the show. Thank you for being on the episode. I appreciate you taking time out of your day. First question I want to ask you is, how did you get an education mentally first? Like, so was this something growing up that you said, oh man, I can't wait to grow up and be a teacher? Or like, where did the whole desire to be in the education space come from?
So actually, ironically, when I started education, it was due to my child. My son was having a lot of behavioral issues at his school, which is actually the school that I currently work for. Okay. He no longer attends there though. But I decided that if I can't keep a job because of what's going on with my child, and I need to have a job, but I need to be a parent also, then I was going to have to find a way to do both. And I had my bachelor's, but I wasn't currently using it. So I decided I would go to the principal, and I explained to him, I said, hey, my son is going through this, and I need to be able to be present for him. How can I help him? What can I do? Do you guys have jobs that, you might consider me for? Never been a teacher, never even thought about being a teacher. And he said, sure. We'll hire you, let's figure out what would be a good place for you. Wow. So that's actually how I got into the game.
That's a blessing. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Wow. Yeah. So, hey, listen, you never know, those that are watching, you never know what door can open until you ask. And then you ask, and then boom, you're like, wait, now I don't have a degree in this. I have no history in this. There's no way whatsoever. But if you knock, boom, that door might just open right fast for you. You didn't even know it was going to open. So that's really, really cool. But it took you taking a step of faith to say, you know what, I'm going to ask and see what happens. So what was your thoughts like when he said, yeah, what were you thinking?
So I remember looking around the school and thinking, man, these kids, they need me. And they need a parent that is like me. And not just a parent, someone to just be present in their life. And I had heard from like a lot of admins that parents didn't show up for their kids the way I was showing up for mine. And because of that, it made me want to be that person for them. Like, no, I can never replace your parent, but I can be a consistent person in your life and be there for you as needed. You know, so I kind of was just, I couldn't really believe he said yeah. Like, I thought he was going to be like, nope, sorry, like nothing here. And he said yeah, and I'm like, oh my goodness.
Matter of fact, yes, we can work something out.
Yeah, like we can start you tomorrow.
Wow,
like he was so, you know, so ready to get me into the door, and you know, and I appreciate that because now I've been in education for 7 years.
Wow.
You know,
was that all at the same school? Also?
Actually,
no, because you said you done it all in different things.
Yes, I actually had left this school for a year, and decided to be in an admin, just to get some more experience and kind of work behind the scenes without dealing with the kids. And then I actually ended up going back to the school that originally started my career.
Nice. So, and what were you doing when he first brought you on? What was you in charge of?
I was actually an intervention para. Okay. So my job was to basically kids who were struggling to read. I would pull those babies 3, 4, 5, you know, at a time. And I would sit down with them and go over like letter sounds and letter recognition and numbers and things of that nature. And I mean, I had done that for maybe 2 years. Okay. And then I was able to move on to different things. Unfortunately, I don't know if unfortunately is the best word, but the school that I worked for had a lot of needs. And so it was hard to keep me in one position, which is how I was able to move around so freely and, you know, learn the ropes of like office staff and even learning how to be a teacher because they would pull me to sub, you know. Sure. I never went to school to be a teacher. Never went to school to be a teacher. My bachelor's is actually in criminal justice. Oh, ironically. Wow. So completely left from, you know,
you're like, I'm keeping y'all away from the criminal justice system by working on you early so that you line up the right way. That's good. That's good. That's interesting. My bachelor's is in business, and I was in education right out of school. Like my university hired me. So I can connect with that a little bit as well. I was actually the whole university in Cincinnati. So I was the director of the academic center itself. So students, adults that wanted to go back to school, they would come to me bringing their transcripts. So I was reviewing transcripts. I was helping them flow through applications. I was reviewing classes and coursework and everything. Like I was the whole university here in Cincinnati, which was interesting. It was cool. It put a lot of responsibility at one time in my hands. But as far as like the teaching element, I started teaching as an adjunct professor at that time. So it was nice to be able to teach at that higher level. But then, let's see, I did that for like a year, and then I went into teaching at a school where I was a gym teacher, but I was the health and wellness facilitator. You know what I mean? So I did that for a year, and then I went into subbing. So then it was like 15 years of subbing while I was still doing the other things, business-wise and music and ministry and stuff. So for you, what did you see when you first got into the school that, not from what you heard, but now that you were like in there, what did you see? And was it good? Was it bad? Were you like, hey, I came to see about my kid and make sure I'm close, but now that I'm here, I'm seeing this other, like, what were you seeing? What were you observing? And not necessarily to bash the school, but just in general, because what a lot of schools have a lot of the same issues. So not all the same, but you know, what did you see? Similar. Yeah.
A lot of children who have been broken, they were kids who had experienced a lot. My school was in the inner city. And I had several kids who were either or I had came in contact with several kids who had been to foster care. Their parents had committed, certain crimes that they may have witnessed.
Wow.
Some of them had been sexually assaulted. Just so many horrific things with kids so small.
Yeah.
And it weighed on my heart because I know how I am as a parent and how much I love my kids and do anything to protect them.
Yeah.
And that made me want to protect these kids.
Sure.
It made me want to be that safe person for them. And know that whatever happens outside of here, I obviously can't control. But while you're here with me, you're safe.
Right.
And I'm here for you.
That's good. That's good. Excuse me. That's good. When you were there, how long was it that you were there before you left? You said you were gone for, I think, a year. How long were you there before that year?
5 years.
So you were there 5 straight years.
5 consecutive years, yeah.
Wow. And so during what all did you do in that 5-year span there?
I did paraprofessional intervention.
For those that don't know what a paraprofessional is, can you explain that?
Yes, a paraprofessional is just a nice way of saying someone who pulls small groups. I don't like to call them paraprofessionals, but that's the official title. They're teachers just like us. They just have a small group of kids, and they target the kids' specific needs that maybe the teacher can't always get to.
Okay.
They're more like, they're not necessarily an assistant, but they work kind of a similar role.
Okay.
So I did that. I had worked in the office. I was pulled to sub when teachers were either not coming to work or had decided to choose a different school. I had actually taught my daughter.
Nice.
Yes, I've taught my son. And then I gradually moved to middle school. And so I ended up teaching middle school social studies, science, and world history.
Was that all still within that 5 years?
All within that 5 years.
Wow. So what did you do in the middle school?
I taught world history and social studies, science.
What was that like for you going from not even in the education space to now you're in education, and then now they want to move you up to, some people I feel like would say, well, I could do the younger ones because, we talking about 1s and 2s plus 5, and I'm good with that math and that level of education. And then, of course, there's some that's like, I hate kids, or I can't stand being around the babies. Oh, my gosh, la, la, la. And so, but from going from that to the middle school, what were your thoughts before it happened when you were thinking about it? What were you thinking about?
Well, thankfully, the kids that I was teaching in middle school were children who had known me for some time. Okay. So the respect factor and the relationship was kind of already there.
Okay.
So they already knew Miss Scott don't play. You came to school to learn, and that's what we're gonna do while we're in this class. Whatever happens once you leave out that door, that's between you and whoever else is out there. But while you're here, this is what we're doing.
Right.
So. It wasn't a huge adjustment. I think the workload was probably the biggest adjustment.
Okay. It seemed like a lot more.
It was definitely a lot more work. And just like finding the time to balance, dealing with my students or my babies. That's what I call them, my babies. But for this purpose, we'll call them my students because, I have kids. So trying to balance, my kids versus my students was... that was like the biggest challenge for me, just managing the workload between my kids and my students and work, and that was tougher than actually moving to middle school for me. So,
are your students lacking confidence? How's their decision making in the school? What about their effort in the classroom? Are they giving it all that they really, really have? Well, these are things that, as a national youth speaker and author, I address in school buildings. If you are dealing with any of these issues and you would like to have a fun, exciting, full of energy presentation, assembly, don't hesitate to reach out. My website is SeanGary.com. How they think about their next choices will be different. go ahead and book a discovery call with me, which we simply have a conversation about what their challenges are, what their needs are, and then I can share with you what I would say, do, what talks that I have that address those areas, and also what an assembly would look like. And yes, I'm pretty much there the whole day. All right, thanks a lot. Now back to the episode. When you talk about the workload balance, what do you feel was the difficult part? Like, what was the difference from the workload?
So when you're a paraprofessional, you work from a single book. You don't have to prep lessons. The lessons are already prepped for you. It's just a book and a book the teacher uses and a student book. And so you just work your way through the book. You present it to the students. They would do their handwriting, and then you're done for the day. When you move into middle school, it's actually prepping a lesson, and it's paperwork you have to print. You need to read the lesson so you know what you're teaching. You just have to be prepared. And if you're not prepared, then when the kids come into the classroom, then there's no structure. So, making sure that you have created that structure through your lessons was really important to me because I can't do chaos. Right.
No, that's good.
So yeah, that was the major difference is working from one single book to now I'm teaching 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. So I had 2 sets of classes versus, I had 2 6th grades, 2 7th, 2 8th versus 5 small groups in total of maybe 20 kids. Now I'm teaching 60. And you need to know where these kids are with their data and how they learn. That was a lot to grasp. But I made it happen. So, and I'm thankful for that.
Good.
Definitely a huge learning experience.
And that's what I was going to say. And we learn from everything. So it just helped to grow you and expand you as well. And so you did all that within the first 5 years. Then what happened?
So then I actually had started to experience some health concerns that were actually resulted through or created through stress. So I took maybe 2 months off or so. And then a close friend of mine had offered me an admin position at a different school. And I thought, wow, I've done all these different things in school, but I've never been an admin before. So I wanted to try it. So I took the position and I went there for a year, and I actually had helped open the school and start it from the ground up, from bringing in students to, their registration,
Is that a local school or in Cincinnati or where?
Yes, it's actually Idea Public Schools. I helped open that school, the Price Hill location.
Nice.
So I, went into the admin position, and, it was different. The workload, still a large workload, but by then, I had already learned how to balance a huge workload, coupled with my life. So it wasn't, a big change. But I started to really miss my kids at my other school, and I would see them, because this new school that I was working for was in the same community. So when I would be outside looking for students to recruit to come to the school, I would see my students, and they would come up to me, and they would hug me, and they would be like, "Miss Scott, we missed you, and I hate that you left." And like, even now when I think about it, I'm getting teary-eyed because I realized how much of a difference in their life that I made for them. And then so because of that, I decided, let me reach out to my principal, and see, what options do I have, and she was like, come back. Come back, and so I did, and I'm so grateful that I did because, from going back, I actually ended up receiving an award from a student, and it was called You Make a Difference.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's an award that's given by another school, DePaul Crystal Ray, actually. She gave me an award for making a difference in her life. So I'm very grateful that I made the decision to go back, because that tells me that I did what I came there to do.
Right. You had an impact. You made impact and helped to change lives and improve the students' lives. That's awesome. I was going to ask you, the admin work that you were doing, was that different than the work you were doing in the office? Or when you say admin, what was that?
So it was different, because when I worked in the office, it was kind of like I was subbing in the office. So I was kind of learning the ropes of like a registrar. and a receptionist.
Okay.
I was kind of learning those things when I was working, like subbing for the office.
Yeah.
But at IDEA, it was more like enrolling the students and working alongside the principals to create plans for the kids to be successful, and
Okay.
even track. I mean, as admins, we were literally doing it all: tardies and attendance and enrollment, and literally creating a school, like a plan for all kinds of different things. So
Yeah.
it could be, what kind of party are we going to have for the kids, who had straight A's, what can we do to celebrate the parents who are involved with their kids? What can we do to celebrate the kids who come to school every day? Like,
Yeah.
just a lot of different things. It wasn't just like one particular job.
Right,
We just
right.
did so much.
Yeah.
We just
No,
did
that's
so
good.
much.
That's good. And so you guys did so much, and just like you guys did so much right now, I need you to do not so much, just a little something. And what that something is simply just click down there in the subscribe spot, click that subscribe button, click the like button, and share this with 2 or 3 people that you know are educators who may benefit from this information, because we got the Winin plays coming at the end, so you want them to be available to get that information. But thank you for your support, guys. Hit the like, hit the subscribe. All right, thank you. All right, keep going. Let's see what happened after that. So you were able to come back to the school, and how did you feel about getting to come back?
So I was so excited. My principal, Tanika Smith, I love her.
Shout out.
Shout out to Tanika Smith, because she made me the teacher that I am. She played a huge role in the teacher that I have become. So I was so excited to be working under her. And she was, she just knew I could handle it.
Yeah.
I remember I came into her office and I was asking her something, and she was like, "Girl, you know how to do that? Like, girl, if you don't get back to your classroom, like, you know what you're doing." So, it was exciting. Love seeing my students. They love seeing me. Ironically, there had been students that had left while I was away, or even before, and then they had returned. There's a student currently that's there that I taught when she was in 3rd grade, and she had been gone for so many years.
Wow.
I had wondered and wondered and wondered about her, and then she just walked into my classroom. It's like, "Hey, Miss Scott, I'm here."
Wow.
And she's in 8th grade now. I hadn't seen her since she was in 3rd grade.
Wow.
So I was definitely excited. A little nervous, though, because when I returned, I wasn't taking on middle school.
Okay.
I was returning as a kindergarten teacher.
Okay.
And anyone who knows me, I've always said I love the babies, but I love the babies with hands off. So, like, I don't want to be.
What you mean?
Yeah, like, I don't want to be in the classroom.
Okay.
But they
Why
can.
not?
Yeah,
Why not?
They're so, little babies. They're just different. They say everything. Like,
yeah.
Like a quick story. I got a little girl in my class, and another little boy. He's a handsome little guy.
Yeah.
He loves the ladies.
Uh-oh.
He would say, he'd be like, "I love you," and my little girl said, "Don't nobody love you, boy." Like, they're just they're little grown-ups.
These little attitudes and
Little
minds
attitudes,
and
like,
personalities and
yeah, they're just different. And I'm like, I don't know if I can deal with that. Like, I don't know. Like, and they come in, and I know you guys see these videos and stuff of like how little kids behave, and they're telling all mom's business. That's a true thing. They do these things. Like, and so I just wasn't. It wasn't for me, but I was like, well, I've tried all these different things and I've been successful in them. I'm gonna give it a shot.
Yeah.
And my kinder babies, they love me and I love them.
Good.
Like, they are a whole mess.
Yeah.
But I love their mess. I just cannot, like.
They're still figuring it out, man. They're not even still figuring it out. They haven't even started trying to figure it out. Yeah,
yes,
they're just
here.
They're just here, right?
They're just here.
We here, laughing, smiling, farting,
all
picking
that.
boogers.
That's what I was gonna say. They do all of those things.
Right.
I got a little baby that is notorious for giving me hugs and wiping her nose on my shirt. But that's what she does, and I love her for it. And
Oh,
it's
that is
okay.
funny. That is funny. when I'm in schools, man, sometimes I forget. Like I'm slapping so many high fives and getting hugs, and then it always hits me like, oh yeah, I need to make sure I'm squirting that hand sanitizer
You
as
have
often
to.
as I can, man. And it's funny because they will love on you, man. They will love on you. But
They
it's
will
good.
love you down for
It's
real.
good.
They will.
That's good. So you came back, and that was how many years? That's almost what, 2 years ago or a year ago or when?
This is actually, I'm about to end my second year of kindergarten.
Okay.
So this is
Perfect.
the kids in my
Perfect.
class now are my second group of kinders.
Awesome. Okay. So out of all your time, you taught kindergarten all the way up to 8th grade, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what are your thoughts as far as teaching not kindergarten, but elementary school versus middle school?
They have different needs, that's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
They definitely have different needs.
Explain that to me.
How can I put it? Kinder kids, the little kids, they need a lot of attention and love. Not that big kids don't, but I feel like when they're this small, you have to pour in them more so that when they get to that age, they're not seeking it from somewhere else.
That's good. That's
With
good.
our older kids, if you pour into them when they're younger, they don't become those people that are seeking attention. In the cases in which they do become those people that are seeking attention, it's really important that you pour into them too. Meet them where they are, love on them, be supportive of them, and hear them. Because by the time they're in middle school, they understand. When they're little, they can't really, articulate what they're feeling and what they're thinking. But when they're big like that, they know exactly what's going on.
Yeah.
And it's important that we as teachers, we as parents, admins, that we're there for them, because by the time they're that big, they done been through some stuff.
Yeah.
And if you want them to be able to go into adulthood and be successful, it's important to stop them at some point, and somebody has got to pour into them.
Yeah.
Got to pour into them.
Oh, that's good. All right, here's one that I love asking. What is the craziest, wildest thing you've seen in your time teaching? What's
I've
the
seen
craziest story?
The craziest story. Like good? Or
It don't have to be good.
Well, we've had students let people into the building to fight for them.
Really?
That's pretty wild.
Hey, cuz, look, man, I'm gonna let you in by the east side door.
That.
Okay, I know you don't know what that is. By the side by the basketball court, that door, that's
That
the east
door.
side. And hey, we go. Hey, bring whoever you want to bring. I'm gonna.
Yes.
Hey, that's crazy.
Yes, and I mean the student plotted for this to happen. She put it all together. And,
Oh my gosh.
what
grade? What grade was this?
She's actually in 8th grade.
8th grade. So an 8th grader had people come up to the school, and he or she was able to actually let them in to the building
Unfortunately,
with no one else aware that they were there. And then what happened? How did it go down? What happened?
well, thankfully, we are really aware of who the students are in our building. We know their faces. And so a teacher was able to recognize that this person was definitely not a student in our school.
Right.
And thankfully, she was able to put an end to it. And so no one was harmed or hurt.
Right.
But, we deal with all kinds of things. In my opinion, that's pretty minute compared to, I mean, I've had a student whose father was taking advantage of her. I can't even say the actual words, but I mean, I've had students I had a student that was hit and passed away. I've had a student that was almost hit by a car. I've literally seen and experienced so much that it literally will break your heart. Some of the stuff that I've experienced through being a teacher.
Not to like stop and dwell, sit in it, but the one you said that passed away, you said got hit, was that by a car, or I thought you meant by a person?
No, she actually got hit by a bus.
Oh wow. Man, that sucks.
And she was crossing the street and
wow,
she got hit and
wow.
She passed away.
Wow.
And
sad.
it's something that when you're in the building, you sit in those moments and you reflect on that time and you remember when that child was in your presence, or
right.
like you remember those things. And I think that's something that like never goes away.
Right.
As an educator, you will forever remember those things and those kids, and
man,
and it just breaks your heart. It makes you want to be there.
Right.
It can also make you not want to be there.
Yeah.
But for me as a person, I do want to be there for them. Sometimes it's hard though.
Right. Well, our prayers are out to that family.
Absolutely.
As well, man. That's tough. Okay, we are at that point where you have to make your choice. She's about to make her choice, guys. She has the decision to make. And this is how this works. So you have option A or B. Option A is you choose 3 winning plays, 3 tips for principals, teachers, and parents. Or option B, you pick one of them, principals, teachers, or parents, and give them 5. So which choice you want to go with, A or B?
I think that I want to do the 3 tips for each person.
Okay. All right, let's go.
So my tips to admins.
Hold on, before you start. This is the moment you want to get that pen and pad out. Go ahead and take some notes. If this is for you, take some notes. All right, here we go.
Absolutely. So for admins, my tips are listen to your teachers and what they need from you. Make yourself available to support your teachers and the decisions that they make with our students. Consider the feedback of the staff and listen to learn, not to respond. For teachers, I suggest that you prioritize students' relationships. Be adaptable because every student is not the same and they may require different needs. Always remember to show empathy and not to be biased. Kids go through a lot of different things, and we as teachers may be the only safe place that they have. As for parents, education starts at home. We as teachers are just a supporting cast. When your child walks into the doors of our classroom, it is our jobs as teachers to continue your students' growth, not start it. We have to work together. Send your babies to school. That is so important, parents. Send your babies to school. They cannot learn if they're not present, and you can't expect teachers to pass them on if they haven't been present to learn what is needed to learn. Lastly, support your kids. Be a parent. Tie your kids' shoes before they go to school. Give them a bath. Change their clothes. If they look good, they'll feel good, and they'll want to perform better. That's my suggestions.
That's good. So, guys, I hope you were taking notes. If you weren't and you heard something like, oh, that's good, you can rewind it. But before you rewind it, please hit the like button, subscribe, so you can tune into every episode. And we're building a community as well. So there's the Winning Play Podcast group on Facebook. So if you want to join there, you can join there as well. And that's where a lot of information is released first. And then conversations can go forth as well on how to better serve students, different tips, tricks, anything like that. So is there anything else that you want to share with the people while we have their attention right now?
I can say it again. Just be a parent. Be a parent to your kids. Support them. Because if you don't support them, you can't expect your teachers to support them. You got to hold the same weight for yourself as you do for the teachers. That's it.
Cool. All right. Well, guys, listen, man, I hope you enjoyed this episode. I hope you got something from it. Some nuggets was definitely dropped. Some diamonds were dropped. They were released. And hopefully you grabbed them and you held on to them and you implement those things. So this is the Win and Play Podcast. I am your host, Sean Gary, National Youth Speaker and author. And if there's nothing else, we're out of here. Peace.